All right, welcome to another week. Yes, another one of our vendor spotlight series. I've kind of decided that little name makes sense. The second week in a row I've used it and it flows like melted butter. Anyway, this week I'm excited. I'm really excited. For some of us, we're going a little old school, and I love it. Old school, but not old technology. Still new, relevant, and really great technology with diamond tone. So I am really thrilled to welcome Heidi Martin. She is the National Sales Manager, and she's going to kind of take us through getting back to some basics. And so I guess without stealing your spotlight any longer, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Everybody, as Holly said, I'm Heidi Martin, National Sales Manager for Altair. And I will preface, as I told Holly earlier, I have a camera over here and my laptop here. So if I apologize for not looking at the webcam, I'm trying to see what's on my screen. So Holly, thank you actually for that build up. It was absolutely perfect. I love how you said kind of going old school, and that's really what going back to basics is about. When we were talking about what we wanted to do for a topic today, we were throwing around different ideas, and I know the elephant in the room is COVID. And we all know that COVID is something that you're seeing so many calls on and so many webinars on, and it's crucial information, but at the same time, it's sort of feeling like the same things are probably getting done over and over again. So what we wanted to do today is kind of address it, but at the same time, really take a step sideways and say, all right, let's really talk about some things that we know this is happening, but what else can we do in the midst of this? And so that's really what going back to basics is, how are we adjusting to our new normal, and what can we do for our business in the meantime? So I am just going to share my screen here, assuming I hit the right button, and show you guys a delightful PowerPoint I have going on, assuming I get it going. There we go. Okay, so like I said, back to basics really is kind of taking a look at our business and figuring out how can we advance without bringing in even the latest, snail mask technology, the most expensive systems out there. There's a lot of great tech that's either at our fingertips currently in our spas now, or it's something that is so close and easy to get that has that great return on the investment that we're able to kind of bring our business back from where we have been the past few months and even take it further than it was before. So some of the challenges today, competition is always going to be a challenge. We know that we are competing with the spa down the street. As much as we all have this community and we do all get along and we do work together, it still does come down a little bit to, are they going to come to me for that treatment, or are they going to go to my neighbor? And so how do we really differentiate ourselves? What things do we have in our arsenal that can really help us stand apart and to attract customers and clientele into our businesses? And COVID-19, as I said, obviously this is the elephant in the room. We know that it exists. There is no definitive end date. We don't know what is happening at this point. And sometimes when we think we're going on one direction with this, we sort of turn and go a whole nother direction. So it is something that we're constantly having to adjust to. And then there's an additional financial strain with that, meaning we were shut down for months. Some spas have not had the luxury of being able to open back up. I had an interesting conversation with Telly, which is a distribution company that does work with a lot of high-end hotels and spas. And they did kind of an informal survey, and they let me know that only about 30% of hotels and resorts with spas have been opening back up across the United States from their customer survey. And a lot of hotels and resorts are only running at 20% capacity on average. So we know what that does for our business. We also know what that does for our spas. We lose a lot of money when we're not able to be open, when we're not running at capacity. And the goal is, how do we get that money back? How do we get those customers back? What can we do in the meantime? And the answer is, we go back to basics. So now, what does it mean when we talk about getting back to basics? It means returning to a simpler way of doing things, thinking about things, really adhering to the fundamental principles, or in this case, services that really got us to where we are, focusing on those simple, important ideas, and really finding those as our way to make a difference in our business. So what are the basics? And this actually, again, I'm referring back to some of my conversations with Telly, because these are the things that when we discuss this, these are things that they are hearing the most from their spas. And these are things that I'm seeing in my own experience as well. So some of the services are massage, specialty massage, nail care. And I think one reason that we're seeing these three in particular is these are some of the first treatments that people were allowed to do when they came back. You know, they don't require that face-to-face contact. They can have the masks on. So these are some treatments that actually people were able to start doing right away as we slowly open back up. And so they have been a good source of revenue. Next, we have our facial treatments and our body treatments. It's been a little slower to get back to facial treatments in particular, simply because we have a lot of new regulations in place, but we are starting to get there. And that is something that people have been wanting. At home right now, people are trying to do their best to do a lot of self-care. They're watching videos and God forbid, in some cases, TikToks on how to do their own treatments and how to take care of their skin at home. And in some cases, it's delightful. And in other cases, I think we all are banging our heads just a tiny bit on some of the advice people are getting. So really our goal is to get our clientele back in and bring in new clientele who are really seeing that this is a great way to relieve stress, to take care of themselves, especially as they are living their new normal as well. Body treatments is another great way to do that. You know, you have so many different options, and it's one that is available to our customers when they can't have a facial treatment. A body treatment can still be done with a mask, and it still provides us options. Then lastly, the last basic is retail. And this has been the bread and butter for us for a very long time during this kind of pandemic, because we know that this was a revenue stream that we could have. Even when we weren't open and doing treatments, we could get product into people's hands. And I don't know about you guys, but I think I would rather die than go without my Elastin eye cream, because I think the pandemic has given me some very dark circles and quite a few fine lines. But this is still a huge opportunity. It is one that has kept, in some cases, people afloat. It also has provided a little bit of extra revenue. But even pre-pandemic, pre-new normal conditions, we know that that retail component, that take-home component, is one that we have always worked hard to increase those numbers. There's always greater potential. And that's something that, as we're doing these treatments, we want our treatments to naturally lead into some of those retail sales. We want people taking home product and using the right care and right products on their skin. No more St. Ives scrub. I think we would all rather die than see that on the shelves anymore. So let's talk about, how do you choose? As we're looking at these, going back to basics, how do we choose what to focus on? There's a lot of places you can go within that retail, nail care, specialty massage, facial treatments, body treatments. There's so many different avenues you can go. There's so many different products, and there's really a lot of different tech that we can go into. But what we have to do is really boil it down to that decision-making process, which is right here. We need to look at the benefits. You know, what are we getting from this? What is our client getting from this? How are we going to use this benefit to our advantage so we can get our clients coming back repeatedly, get that long-term business building back up? And let's look at that. The next thing is longevity. How will this treatment system trend last? Is it something that if we bring it in, it's hot for a minute because somebody heard about it on the internet, but then, or they maybe have a great marketing team, and then all of a sudden the next great thing comes out? How do we get this to last? How do we get this in front of people, get them asking for it? And then cost. What is this costing the spa? What is this costing the customer? Those are two things we have to look at, because they're not mutually exclusive. The cost for the spa has to make sense to do the treatment, to buy the equipment, to purchase the products, to retail the products, but it also has to make sense for your client. We want them coming back repeatedly. We want that business built back up. So how do we balance that out? We know that this is a new normal, so we have to figure out, how do we balance it? And return on investment. How are we getting the bang for our buck? You know, we put the money into it. What happens next? And then lastly, what is the reputation? How is the overall quality or character being judged by others of this treatment? How does this treatment impact the reputation of our spa? How does this treatment viewed by the public? What do they know about it? How is the company? Are they a partner? Are they somebody who is just going to show up, sell, and be gone? These are all things that have to be weighed as we're making these decisions for going back to basics and really pulling in the business. I feel like I'm talking very fast. So in particular, because obviously I work for Diamond Tome, we're going to use microdermabrasion as a kind of a going back to basics case study. And I'm going to walk you through each of these, and eventually we will talk a little bit specifically about how our company does it, because as you can see, during some of these decision-making processes, these are things that we can look at. So first, let's talk about the benefits of microdermabrasion. And I got this list from a great article in Skin Inc. in June called 8 Reasons Why Microdermabrasion is Here to Stay. I absolutely love this article. When I came across it, I thought Kelly Conlon did a great article. But the reasons that she lists here is, number one, it improves mature skin. You know, it's that collagen production, and it minimizes the fine lines and wrinkles. Benefits acneic skin, removes the dead skin and reduces the surface oils. Consistent and controlled. It's controlled, it's advanced exfoliation. And to be honest, it can be used on any Fitzpatrick type. So it is something that is a broad application. It stimulates the lymphatic and the blood flow. It's a massage. That vacuum kind of increases the blood flow. It detoxes the skin. It stimulates that collagen. It improves scarring, obviously smoothing the surface, back to collagen production again. It enhances the absorption of topicals, takes away that dead skin cell layer on top, allows your product to penetrate. Boosts light therapy efficacy, same thing, that dead skin, all gone. And it can be added to nearly advanced practice protocol. Now, I love this because there's a lot of times where I see microdermabrasion and it's not necessarily its own treatment. And sometimes it's on the menu separately, and a lot of times it's just mixed in because it makes sense and it fits in with everything. All right. Now let's talk about longevity microdermabrasion. And I want to start by saying, you know, dermabrasion is not new. If you're not familiar, at 1500 BC, Egyptian physicians were using sandpaper on the skin to smooth scars. In the early 1900s, they used rotating wheels and rasps, which was done by hand, and it was a little bit questionable to remove the upper layers of skin. The 1950s, a motorized brush was used, which did create some problems. We'll say that. But in 1985, that's when the crystal system was introduced in Italy and then brought over to the United States in the mid-1990s. And then in 1999, Diamond Tome actually created the first diamond tip wand, which eliminated the need for crystal particles and opened up a whole host of opportunities. It is currently the 5th most common medical aesthetic procedure. Like I said, it's a staple of the spa. You are going to find microdermabrasion, which at its basic form, it's exfoliation. We're getting rid of those dead skin cells. It is the basic staple that you put in almost every treatment. You are exfoliating in one form or another. And a lot of the time, it is microdermabrasion that is doing it. Really, if you think about it, with all your products and all your treatments, this is probably your unknown star of your show that does almost everything to get everything else pulled together. So as we're moving forward, I want to obviously start working in a little bit more specific in our case study. We'll talk about Diamond Tome specifically. So when we're looking at costs for the spa and esthetician, if you're looking at a Diamond Tome system in particular, your average cost is going to be $5,400 to $12,900, depending on what your configuration is. We have 3 different systems, so there's a lot of different options, and that's just average system cost for one of ours. In terms of microdermabrasion, you're not going to find a better investment on the market, and I can talk about that in the next slide. For the customer, what we found is the average cost of a facial treatment for microdermabrasion is $136, and that is actually coming from the American Society of Plastic Surgeons. It does vary by region, but that's pretty average for what I've seen and heard across the country. Now, when we talk about return on investment, we can talk about that cost per use. For our system in particular, cost per use is $1 for a dry exfoliation, no matter which one of our systems you're using. And that includes everything. If you add our Hydro Wand treatment, which does add that hydration component, you're looking at approximately $7. Now that can vary a little bit depending on what serum you're using. That $7 is if you were using the Diamond Tome serums. However, we're an open system, so you can use whatever product you want. System payoff averages about 6 to 13 weeks. If you're doing 10 treatments a week, averaging $100 a treatment. So when I configured that, I went a little bit on the low end. But there are very few other products on the market where you buy your tech and it's paid off in about 3-4 months. That's not very common. Additional services that you can do to get more return on your investment, to get more bang from your buck, is the back, the arms, the legs, feet, heels, you name the body part, you can microderm it. And to be honest, we really probably should be microderming a lot of those places. It is an add-on inclusion, like I said, with other treatments. I have some clients that I work with where we don't focus on creating a microderm price list. We focus on working it into their other treatments so they can create their signature treatments, the things that they're known for. So we're taking that basic and elevating it, and we're making it their own. And then we can talk about that retail component. So that's one thing people don't typically think about when you're thinking microdermabrasion, how do I get my ROI? With our product, if you're using our Hydro Wand system, there is a retail component because we have an open system, which means you can put anything you want into this wand as long as it's thicker than water and thinner than cream, and use that serum for your application. And it allows your estheticians to really start promoting that product early on in the treatment. And before that client goes home, they're already feeling it soaked into their skin. They're already feeling those benefits. So it's very easy to walk them out and say, this is what we used in your treatment. This is what I'm highly recommending, and help you increase those sales. You're not locked into a product that we have a contract that we've negotiated with another company. You are free to use this however works best for you. And then lastly, let's talk about reputation. Now, in some ways, I always say with the microderm companies, you hear about microderm, but you don't always hear specifically what company that they might be working with. But then when you do hear about the company, especially Diamond Tome in particular, they say, oh my gosh, I love it. I've had it for years. And that is one thing we are known for, is that long-term usage, that long-term last. And the reason is because if you look at our accolades that we have listed here, you know, we're CSA certified, we're FDA registered. The number of patents that we have is incredible. We are LNE winner, we are a Dermascope winner. We're a winner of all these things, but we're still who we are. We are a great small company that wants to be a partner. And that's really what you should be looking for as you're going back to basics, is how are my partners working with me? How are these companies willing to work with me? What value do I get from working with these companies? We are a company that answers our phone. We are a company that responds back quickly because we want to be with you and we want you to be successful. Because when you're successful, that makes us successful. And really, that's something that people kind of forget to look at. They get the newest tech, they get the advanced thing, the thing that maybe has the best marketing out there, but then they kind of stop, and all of a sudden things screech to a halt, and you realize you're left standing there with a very expensive piece of tech, a very large pile of product. It's not moving. You don't know how to use it. You have questions, and then you realize, oh, that was the one thing maybe I should have thought about. And we've all done it. We have all done it. I know I've done it at home. But really, that reputation and finding the partner is one of those things that you should be looking at. And with Diamond Tome in particular, we're here for you. I'm here for you. I literally have been texting one client all day because she just got a new system and had questions. And I texted her until she was comfortable. And she even said, I'm worried that I'm bugging you. And I said, you're not bugging me, because I need you to be comfortable. I need you to be happy and feel good. And as soon as she was done, she texted me and said, I'm absolutely in love. And I feel like I did help with that. And I did partner with her to get her there. So these are the things that we would recommend looking for. And I think I've shown a few ways that, you know, Altair instruments and Diamond Tome in particular can help you with that. So I don't like to talk people's ear off, especially late at night. So I'm going to open it up and see if there are any questions about my presentation, if there's any questions about Altair in particular that you have.
You know, Heidi, I'm gonna just read a couple of comments. You know, one of our attendees said that they started in the spa in 1998 in the industry, and it was and still is huge, meaning, of course, the microderm abrasion, and that their particular property charges $150. So, and that's a city property, which is, you know, you can get away with a little lower price points in property, even with luxury, as opposed to resorts. And so I found that really interesting. And then they also do a back of the hand add-on with a mask and hydration for $50.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, that's
hands, if you think about it, when you ask anybody how old you look, they're not looking at your face, they look at your neck, your chest, and your hands. I love it.
My hands are starting to look old. And so I'm going to have to come to that spa and get that hand treatment like multiple days in a row.
And that's the thing with Microderm, and with us in particular, we don't dictate what you should charge because you know your market, you know your business. And so we're simply there to help encourage. I'm there to help you figure it out, to look around and say, all right, what is best for you and what is best for your clientele? So you have that flexibility, which I think sometimes people feel like, oh my gosh, I almost have a little bit too much flexibility, but I'm there to help you work through that as well. So, yeah.
Some of us are control freaks and we like that. I say that as a former spa director. I said, some of us are control freaks and we like that, like needing all that freedom. And I was like, but I'm a former spa director, so I like freedom and flexibility. No, I think that's really great, though. I mean, I think it's cool that because you have this sort of in between, right? If you can be totally hands-on and totally, you know, really right down to writing the menu, for example, and telling them exactly what they need to put on their menu and do, to going, hey, here, we have a tool, and how do you want to use it? And so I think that's really great to provide that flexibility. Are there any other like kind of comments or questions before I kind of divert a little bit? I want to see if I know John's hanging here in a second, but so why don't I divert, because we can always come back. I am curious. I actually loved hearing your presentation. I think I learned something new. My first experience with microdermabrasion was in 2003, maybe four, could have been 2004. My first real experience with it when I opened a spa in Scottsdale, Arizona, and we had one of your pieces of equipment. And I remember being a little scared at first. You know, I was still fairly new in the industry. I'd only been in it for 3 years. But man, I just loved how my skin felt and looked afterwards. And I think you're right with that Microderm, and particularly with the tool that you have. I think that it's a really nice, safe, but effective alternative to really getting that deep exfoliation for the skin. And we all need it. We all need it.
And I will say, I do love about us in particular is I myself have rosacea. I have very sensitive skin. I flare. If I look at a glass of wine or spicy food, I am a tomato. And this has really helped me even up my skin tone. And I love the Hydro Wand component because I used to work for another company that we can all guess. And I feel like my skin has never been better since getting Microderm, which I had never had before I worked for Altair. But the Hydro Wand component, which I think is amazing, is it allows you to that dry exfoliation and then go back and add your customized hydration. So whatever you feel like is going to be the best for your particular client's skin. But if you think of the skin as a sponge, we actually are just filling that sponge. We're not oversaturating it, because at a certain point, if you keep blasting it with fluid, you're going to have just things bouncing off the surface. because you can only hold so much. Whereas this allows you to put in what you need. And that was a concept that I thought, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And I can actually go through a treatment and my skin looks perfect for a long time. It's absolutely outstanding. I love it. And don't get me started on how amazing back treatments are. If you've never had a back treatment, and I'm a Minnesota girl, so, you know, we have our sweaters in the winter and we all do the kind of the bear scratch on the doorways because we get all that dead skin built up on our backs, and Holly's laughing because she knows what I'm talking about. So we do the back scratch, and ever since I started getting my back done, not having that problem anymore. So it's fantastic.
I'm going to jump in and ask a question if you don't mind.
Yeah, ask away.
So being familiar with microdermabrasion for quite an extended period of time, obviously started aluminum oxide crystal, and now we're looking at diamond tips and lots of other forms out there. Can you, in a briefer area, hit a nice curve of the difference and why, when it started, it was as it was, and now today, kind of period out why it's better?
Why the diamond tips are better?
Why the machine? Why the machinery? The result? The
oh, sure.
Yes.
Well, and it's interesting because when they introduced in 1985, they had that first closed loop system in Italy, and that's everything was going back into the container. They did the crystals, and then they introduced it in the United States. And in terms of tech, we came out with ours in 1990. I know somebody said 98, it was 99. We just had our 20th anniversary. Got my Diamond Tone 20 on. But our company's been around since 1980. So, but when we came out with our tech, our original device is actually still working. So in terms of machines, we've had our original machine. I know somebody who still has hers. We've come out with we had the new Appeal, and then we did the Petite, which is the smaller version. If you can see on my screen sharing, that's the one on your right. The new Appeal is the one on the left. And then the DT2 came out probably about 10 years ago. And the thing is, in terms of for our system, our tech is that strong that you get the system and it lasts. So you don't need to replace it. Are we working on new things? Yes. Can I say what? No. But the tech lasts, which is one thing I love. But when they move forward with the crystal-free exfoliation, that came about because Steve Waldron, who is our founder, he was actually a medical engineer. And so he was one of the guys who designed the first cochlear implant. He was actually approached by a plastic surgeon who said, I love this microdermabrasion thing, but the crystals are a mess. And you can't really use it if you're going to do any lasering because of the light refraction and the heat and everything. So they had challenged Steve and said, can you come up with something? And that was how we actually came up with the evolution of the diamond tip. So in terms of advancement, yes, it's come a long way. Are there a lot of knockoff machines on the market that are not probably that same quality? Yeah, but I think we know that happens with everything. Anytime you have something that is as solid as this, in particular our systems, we do see people who try to knock them off and say that they can do the same thing, that they're more advanced or better, and we find they're not. But I think the thing is, I love going back to basics. We're still at basics. These are still our basics. I mean, it's not that we don't work on advanced. We always have things going on in terms of tech, but we still know that this is what works.
What works, works.
It really does. I mean, it's not broke. We see if there are ways we can fix it, but we haven't found something to make it better because it's better.
So I happen to be the person that was back in 98, I guess I'm going to call that. It might have been 97 or 6, I'm not sure. I actually was in LA at the time. I remember us shipping, we were opening a new location in Miami, shipping this huge white aluminum oxide crystal interlooping system out to Miami, and this whole thing, it kind of cracks me up nowadays compared to where we are today, which is excellent. The Brown Palace actually has the machine on the left there. I apologize, I don't know the name of it. And we love it.
The new Appeal?
It's on my left, so yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, but do you have the hydro wand?
We don't, and it's funny, I didn't want to monopolize it with let's talk, but let's talk.
We can talk. We'll talk offline. But yeah, so I mean, that is one of those things, like how long have you had it? That system has probably been with you for years. And what I love is that it doesn't need upgrades. There's no, tech that needs to be upgraded. There's no software that needs to be upgraded. These are built to last. It's an investment that is paid off in 3 months and it lasts. So I think the longest I've heard right now is somebody's had theirs for 19 years, which is, wow.
I arrived and our machines were there. They've been there a while and they work great still. So I don't know how long we've had it, but
I love it.
they work great still.
I love it. Any other questions?
I'm just learning, a ton. I always learn something every week that I'm here, but I do appreciate very much this truly getting back to basics and learning more and understanding about how your equipment really is built to last, and how sometimes we overcomplicate things, don't we? and yet it appears that Diamond Home doesn't do that. I mean, yes, their technology is advanced, but it's not so far advanced or so trying to be so over the top that it can stay true to itself, and it doesn't require a lot of, like to your point, upgrades, and that's all great, that's all fancy and well, but sometimes, the best of the best, right, if you can't get it, the best of the best is are those things that last, and have that longevity in one single piece of equipment. And maybe you got to replace a wand here or there, whatever, but overall the whole piece is is for life, basically.
Yeah, and that's going back to, when we say going back to basics, not just with Microderm, but that's going back to the core of your spa business and looking at what are those simple things that we sometimes overlook because maybe they don't have the fancy marketing. I think I always think of it in terms of Pinterest. When Pinterest first came out, was super popular, and we were all pinning these recipes that were things like, cake, cookie, candy bar, fudge pops on a stick, and they were these things. And I remember thinking, can't we just have like bars or cookies? Do we have to take everything and cram it into one thing because it sounds fancy? And I think sometimes that's what we do, because we feel like we have to do the big thing, the fancy thing. And really it's those simple things that really are what drive our business. It's those basics that drive the business. And you can always find ways to elevate your basics, but they're still basics and they're still the core of what you do. And I think that's what we need to really pay attention to right now.
Yeah, I really couldn't agree more. It's so funny. I used to love Pinterest and creating all these like fancy birthday party themes for my daughter. And I'd go on Pinterest and I'd be all obsessed with like, oh, I love that. I love that. And I love this. And I'm going to do that. And I'd be killing myself to make this really cool birthday party. And I mean, there is a place for that too, but I have reduced that in years and simplified. And again, you get back to basics. You're like, there's nothing wrong with just having your friends over for dinner, doing a basic sleepover, and baking a cake or buying one. Better yet, let's just buy one. Let's forget about the baking and the mess and the cleaning up, unless you like to bake. That might be your deal.
In essence, you're going to be doing nails. You're going to be exfoliating. You're going to be doing massage. We have all these basics. It's really what we're doing. Why don't we just make it easy for people?
Exactly. I wanted to read another comment that this spa upgrades at least 20% of facials to Microderm. How cool is that? That's a big percentage.
Yeah.
And, I think it's just as simple as being able to, certainly having your front desk try to convert, someone who's looking for a basic facial, and I need exfoliation, especially now because I've got mask knee. And so, but in the treatment room, I feel like this, and I could be wrong, but I don't, I think I understand very well that, truth be told, this is an easy upgrade in the treatment room for an esthetician to be able to say, hey, this is what I'm gonna, I recommend this in your facial today because here's what it's gonna do for you. And they really they don't have to, deal with crystals and, I don't know, mixing, matching, warming up a machine, right?
Well, and I think if you look at it, like, and I keep copies of this 8 Reasons Microdermabrasion is here to stay. This article is fantastic. And if you don't have your front desk reading it, you're doing them a disservice, because I think that's one great way to get those add-ons is to make sure your front desk is educated. And I know a lot of times we want to do that, but it's hard. I used to work on the retail side, and the front desk was sometimes just overwhelmed because they didn't know what to do or what to recommend or how to talk. But even just keeping this behind the counter, so that way if it comes up, they can say, hey, I'd recommend that add-on. And if they're on the phone with somebody and they're like, why? They can be like, well, it's consistent and controlled. And you mentioned that you want something for anti-aging, and this is great for mature skin for collagen production. And, there's always the buzzwords that people love. People love the word collagen. I don't know why they do. It's fun. So
I would love if you would, either share the article with me, either in a, PDF or something, and I can add that to the website as well as a resource. So when we go ahead and post the replay of this video, we can include that link either to a PDF or even directly to the website that you got it from. Excuse me, and give all of our members and then some an opportunity to read that, because I do agree with you. I think something like that is so helpful for people to understand talking points when it comes to equipment. Some people get really afraid of it, or they're they don't really quite know what to say, or they might not fully understand it, and that's really helpful. So I love that.
As we're talking about, like, those decision-making processes, reputation, value-added pieces that we like to provide.
Right.
That's not a marketing piece for us. That's something I just ran across in Skin Inc. And I thought, I love you, Kelly Conlon. You see this? Thank you. It's a great article. So.
No, I love that. Did we cover, I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. Did we cover like all the different units that you do have? I know you touched a little bit, but we do have
I touched a little bit. Yep. So we do have, and I could probably go back to my last screen and my screen share, I think. Let's see. Oh, there we go. I'll share that. So we do have 3 different systems, and I don't know, can you see my little mouse on the screen?
Yep, I sure can.
Okay. So this here on the left side of the screen, that is the new appeal. That is kind of almost our original. And that is kind of our, I don't want to say middle unit, because in terms of price, it's the middle unit. However, I stand behind every single one of these products. I'm very proud of them, and they all meet different needs. So I'm never going to say, oh, you should not buy this one because it's this. It's a matter of figuring out where I'll go into somebody and start talking with somebody and say, they'll be looking at, the big boy here. And then I'll walk out, they bought a petite because that was what was better for them. So just so you know, I don't have a favorite. I love all my babies. But the new appeal is kind of our mid-range, if you will. And it has about -23 for the vacuum pressure. It is probably, in terms of weight, it's our heaviest. In terms of volume, it's our loudest. And please don't get me wrong, it's not like having a vacuum cleaner. I mean, John, you've heard it. It's not that bad. But in terms of quiet, the petite is going to be our least noisy. And then we have the DT2. The petite is on the far right side over here. And the petite is going to go up to -19. They all do come with different amount of wands and different capabilities. The petite is probably about 15 pounds. I always recommend that if you're going to be moving it around quite a bit. If you, I have a lot of estheticians that are doing a lot of home visits and transporting things around or going from space to space. Then I say, all right, we should probably be looking at the petite, because unless you're doing a lot of body work, because that petite is going to be the lightest. Whereas if we're going to start doing more body work, I'm going to probably encourage you to look at the New Appeal or the DT2 because they're going to have a little bit more vacuum pressure. Now, both the Petite and the New Appeal are set up for dry exfoliation. However, if you're interested in adding that hydration wand component, we actually have a kit for that. So what it does is it allows you to swap out your hydro canister for your HEPA filter. So you just use the same port for collection. Now, the big boy is the DT2. Obviously, this is going to be our Cadillac. And the DT2 is actually built for both hydration and dry exfoliation. So it's got all the bells and whistles automatically included in it. It does go up to -28 in terms of vacuum pressure. And it's probably about middle of the other two in terms of weight. It does come with the most wands because it has the hydration wands that come with it. It also comes with body wand and a few face wands. So that's kind of the very high level overview. They all are fantastic devices, and it just depends on what your budget is, what your needs are. I do have an ROI tool that shows all the different systems with their pricing and their list pricing, and it shows you what your payoff is. You can customize it to say, all right, here's how much I think I'm going to charge. Here's how much I'm going to do for dry. If I'm going to do a hydro wand treatment, here's how much I would put in for that. And it shows you how long it takes to pay that off. And you can even customize how many treatments per week you'll do. So that's where I got all those numbers from. Just another value-added tool.
Totally, I love it. Thank you for spending a little bit more time on that for us. You know, I'm interested to see this, experience this in person, and particularly the Hydra piece, which I think everybody loves that kind of, you know, that combination of the exfoliation and hydration, don't we all? But I do need a really good exfoliation first. I'm coming to see you. I'm going to come to Minnesota and I'm going to see you. I'll make it a double trip. I'll see family and I will come see you.
Now you can write that off, right? Because that's work.
I would say so. Right, John? He's one of my board members. Can I write off that trip? Or at least half of it, maybe?
Sounds like sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
I thought I was going.
Yeah, you are welcome to come. You are welcome to join us. Minnesota in the fall. It's actually quite lovely.
Actually right now it's beautiful. Yeah. I will say that I have been going to the Denver area quite often.
Yeah.
So I do not have a travel ban. I am available to do demos, and yeah, so I am available for doing demos and having meetings. I can also do meetings via Zoom. I can do demos via Zoom, but I can do live in-person demos as well.
I think that's super helpful. And just so you know, fall in the Rocky Mountains is actually better than fall in Minnesota, believe it or not.
Well, the mountains, I would believe, yes.
Yeah.
Although now northern Wisconsin might give the Rocky Mountains a run for the money because it is gorgeous up there when you get along Lake Superior. We do got Lake Superior.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that because it's got the hills and the rocks. Yes, I will
the lake.
Do that. And the lake is beautiful. The lake, there's the Minnesota. It just came out. Yeah, don't you know? You know what I actually have in my refrigerator? Left. Do you remember what that is?
Right? Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
My family eats it every Christmas.
Yes. So my husband found some at the supermarket near a new supermarket that opened up here in my neck of the woods a couple of weeks ago. He comes home and he's like, look, I was so excited. So little butter, little sugar and cinnamon. Yeah. Oh, like the perfect thing in the whole wide world.
Yes.
John, are you familiar? No? All right, I'll bring you some.
No, but I figured you were going to say Moosehead beer.
Moosehead beer.
I was actually thinking she was going to list some sort of beer too. Summit or.
I mean, I do like the shandy from oh my gosh, why am I blanking? See, drink what Leinenkugel. Yeah, the summer shandy is. I'm not much of a beer drinker. I tend to be more on the wine or just hit the hard stuff. And beer.
A number of distilleries around here now.
There's so many. There's so many here. But it's kind of funny because Summer Shandy, I don't know, I came across one day and I was like, oh, this sounds kind of good. I think I remember this from back when I probably shouldn't have been drinking, and thoroughly enjoyed that with a burger. It was really good. It was really good. So well, instead of reminiscing about Minnesota any longer, because you and I can do that off
Yes.
the screen, off video. Does anyone else, John, do you have any more comments, questions? Heidi, do you have any last minute tidbits you want to share before I rob you of your time and share what we have going on next week?
I will just say, just keep the basics in mind, because that is the cornerstone of your business as we are trying to work through this new normal. And keep microdermabrasion, in particular diamond tome, in mind. We are here to partner with you, and we are here to help, and we want to help you get through this and move into the future and be successful. Yeah.
I love it, Heidi. Thank you so much
Thank you for having me.
This was a lot of fun. I love equipment, so I'm like all into it. And I'm going to go see John soon, and I'm going to get a Microderm with your new Appeal machine. Yeah. Right, John? Yeah. All right. Well, gosh, do you guys believe that we are on the latter part of September already? How the heck did that happen? I mean, the fact that we're the 22nd and we barely have a week left of this crazy, wacky, weird month. It's been a little strange, but it's been wonderful. Some of those downs have been definitely highlighted with a lot of really great highs, including our Tuesday gathering. So next week are the last 2 of the month of September. So on Tuesday, we're actually going to meet with Hannah Duncan. She's going to present her product, Well Products, and they are a CBD brand, which is really awesome. For those of you that don't know Hannah, she will definitely bring it and has a ton of experience in product development. We love that this is her baby. I see John's going to jump in. Hold on. Let me spotlight you there, John, for a second. There you go.
Actually, it was more a statement is you broke up right as you were given company name. Hannah's awesome, but you broke up during company name.
Awesome. It's that kind of month. I've had things shut down. Anyway. So we're talking to Well Products. Did that come through?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So Well Products, Hannah Duncan. Most of us know who she is. If you don't, you are in for a treat. And then the next day on Wednesday, we have another Wellness Wednesday, and we are going to meet with Theragun. They're actually going to do a mindful stretch with us. So that's going to be super awesome. If you don't already have your Theragun, well, I'm sorry. Hopefully it'll be there soon. But join us anyway, whether you have it or not. It's going to be a great day. Heidi, I expect to see you at both of these. I know you come to a lot of our virtuals. So we'll look forward to seeing you guys next week, both days, 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And we will look forward to having a great week. And we hope you do too. Take care.